What if Neville Longbottom was sorted into Hufflepuff? We all remember where Neville Longbottom ended up, a Gryffindor through and through. The clumsy, forgetful boy who blossomed into one of the bravest heroes of the Second Wizarding War. But the books tell us something fascinating, a little detail that could have changed everything. Terrified by Gryffindor's reputation for bravery, a young Neville Longbottom silently begged the Sorting Hat to place him in Hufflepuff. Their argument was one of the longest sortings of the year, a true hat stall, as the Hat insisted he belonged with the Lions. In the end, the Hat won. But what if it hadn't? What if the one decision that defined Neville's future went the other way? What if the quietest hero of the wizarding world wore the badger instead of the lion? This is the story of how that single change would have rewritten Neville's destiny forever. Imagine 11-year-old Neville, heart pounding, as the Sorting Hat is lifted from his head. But instead of shouting, "Gryffindor," it yells, "Hufflepuff." The applause is just as loud, but the whole vibe is different. Instead of joining a table of boisterous, daring lions, he's welcomed by a sea of cheering students in yellow and black. The welcome is warm, inclusive, and immediate. There's no pressure to be the bravest person in the room, just to be a good one. Hufflepuff values loyalty, hard work, and fairness, and Neville already has those qualities in spades. This seemingly small shift changes his first year entirely. In Gryffindor, Neville was defined by his anxiety and his struggle to live up to the house's intimidating reputation. In Hufflepuff, he finds instant acceptance. More importantly, his head of house is Professor Pomona Sprout, the Herbology teacher. From his very first lesson, Neville isn't just another student. He's a promising Hufflepuff in his head of house's favorite subject. He excels, and for the first time, he gets praise from a teacher without any hesitation. That praise becomes the bedrock of a new kind of confidence, one built not on daring acts, but on quiet competence. When he loses his remembrall, maybe it doesn't lead to a dangerous run-in with Malfoy and Harry's first Quidditch tryout. Instead, maybe an older Hufflepuff prefect like Cedric Diggory kindly helps him find it, reinforcing the house's supportive nature. Neville wouldn't be part of the trio's late-night adventures with Fluffy, so he'd never have to stand up to his friends at the portrait hole. While that act earned him crucial points in the original timeline, in this one he earns respect differently. Through his dedication and kindness, his first year is quieter but far more stable, letting him build a foundation of self-worth he never had in Gryffindor. Moving into his second year, the Chamber of Secrets opens, and the horror of petrification grips Hogwarts. For Hufflepuff, this hits especially close to home when one of their own, Justin Finch-Fletchley, is attacked. Neville, now firmly rooted in his house, feels this threat on a personal level. His fear is real, but it's matched by a fierce, protective loyalty to his housemates. While Harry, Ron, and Hermione are off solving the mystery, Neville's role is different. He's a source of comfort, spending extra time in the greenhouses with Professor Sprout, finding solace in the one place he feels truly capable. His friendship with the Golden Trio is still there, but it's more about classroom camaraderie than late-night schemes. Then comes third year and the infamous Boggart lesson. In Gryffindor, Neville's greatest fear was Professor Snape, a stand-in for his terror of humiliation and failure. In Hufflepuff, surrounded by supportive friends and a head of house who champions him, his confidence has been steadily growing. Is he still intimidated by Snape? Absolutely. But is Snape his greatest fear? Maybe not. Imagine instead that when Neville steps forward, the Boggart doesn't turn into Snape, but into a fleeting, terrifying image of Bellatrix Lestrange. It's a deeper, more primal fear, tied directly to the trauma that shaped his life. The class goes silent, the usual laughter dead in the air. And after Lupin teaches him to face it, his Hufflepuff friends don't just clap, they rally around him, offering quiet support. He's not the butt of the joke, he's a friend who faced down a monster. The Goblet of Fire ignites, and Hogwarts has a champion. But this time, that champion is from Neville's own house. Cedric Diggory, the epitome of Hufflepuff values, fair, hard-working, and exceptionally brave, becomes the school's hero. For Neville, Cedric isn't a rival, he's an inspiration. He proves that Hufflepuffs are not, as Hagrid once mistakenly called them, a lot of duffers. They are champions. Neville, along with his future wife Hannah Abbott, proudly wears a Support Cedric Diggory badge. Not out of spite for Harry, but out of immense house pride. He and Hannah might even go to the Yule Ball together, their friendship blossoming from shared house values. They watch Cedric's progress with pride, celebrating his cleverness in the first task and his integrity in the second. Then comes the third task. The cheers turn to screams. Cedric's death is a devastating blow to the entire school, but for the Hufflepuffs, it's a personal tragedy that shatters their sense of fairness. For Neville, it's a brutal, defining moment. He saw a hero who embodied everything his house stood for: loyalty, justice, and kindness, murdered by Voldemort. The war is no longer a distant story about his parents. It's real, and it has taken one of their own. This loss hardens his resolve, cementing a quiet, steadfast determination to fight back. This single change in sorting seems to have put Neville on a much more stable, if quieter, path. But a hero's journey is never easy. Before we see how this Hufflepuff hero rises to the challenge of Voldemort's return, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of Harry Potter, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more what-if stories. When Dolores Umbridge shows up at Hogwarts in their 5th year, Neville's motivation to join Dumbledore's army is crystal clear. It isn't to prove he's brave enough for Gryffindor. It's a matter of pure Hufflepuff principle. Umbridge is unjust, her rules are unfair, and his friends are in danger. His loyalty demands that he act. In the DA, he's not the bumbling, insecure boy from the original timeline. He's a dedicated, hard-working student. Thanks to years of encouragement, his spell work is more consistent. He patiently helps others with their wand movements and becomes a reliable pillar of the resistance. His friendship with Harry deepens here, built on mutual respect and a shared cause. He doesn't see Harry as a celebrity, but as a friend and a leader who needs support. When they're caught and Neville stands up to Umbridge, he isn't trying to impress anyone. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do. Later, at the Battle of the Department of Mysteries, he fights alongside his friends with a ferocity born of loyalty. He's still terrified, but his Hufflepuff steadfastness keeps him on his feet, protecting his friends against the very Death Eaters who tortured his parents. In his 6th year, as the darkness grows, Neville remains a quiet force inside Hogwarts. He probably isn't invited to the Slug Club. He's not flashy enough for Slughorn, but he wouldn't care. His worth isn't defined by powerful connections, but by his character. Year 7. With Voldemort in control and Snape as headmaster, Hogwarts becomes a place of fear. But where there is oppression, there is resistance, and Neville, along with Ginny and Luna, is at its heart. As a Hufflepuff, his leadership style is different. He's not a roaring lion, he's a steady badger. He organizes the student resistance with a focus on protecting the younger students and making sure everyone is cared for. He is the moral backbone of the rebellion, a symbol of unwavering loyalty to Dumbledore and Harry. When Harry returns for the final battle, Neville is there to meet him, now a hardened, confident leader. He rallies the students of all houses, his voice carrying a weight of conviction earned through years of quiet integrity. And then comes the final pivotal moment. Voldemort stands victorious over Harry's seemingly lifeless body. He calls for surrender. And Neville, unarmed and unprotected, steps forward. He gives a speech not just of defiance, but of principle. He talks of loyalty, of friendship, of how Harry's fight lives on in all of them. But as Voldemort forces the flaming sorting hat onto his head, the crucial question arises. How does he get the sword of Gryffindor? He isn't a Gryffindor. But the sword doesn't answer to a house, it answers to a deed of true Gryffindor bravery. As Neville stands defiant, refusing to yield in the face of certain death, he embodies a courage that transcends house lines. And in that moment of ultimate selfless bravery, the sword is his. He yanks it from the flaming hat and, with a single decisive strike, severs Nagini's head from her body. The final Horcrux is destroyed. The act is the same, but the meaning is transformed. It wasn't about being a true Gryffindor. It was about being truly brave, no matter the color of your tie. In the aftermath, Neville's path is clear. While he briefly becomes an Auror, his true passion, nurtured since his first day as a Hufflepuff, calls to him. When Professor Sprout retires, there is only one candidate to take her place. Professor Neville Longbottom becomes the head of Herbology at Hogwarts, and eventually the head of Hufflepuff House. He teaches generations of students that bravery isn't about being loud or daring. It's about loyalty, hard work, and the quiet courage to stand up for what is right, no matter how scared you are. He marries Hannah Abbott, the girl from his own house who saw his worth from the beginning, and they live happily, with Neville becoming a beloved and respected figure at Hogwarts. Sorting Neville into Hufflepuff wouldn't have stopped him from becoming a hero. It would have just changed the path he took to get there. He would have skipped the years of feeling inadequate and instead found a place that valued the very qualities that made him who he was, allowing his courage to grow not from pressure, but from a place of acceptance and quiet strength. So what do you think? Would Neville have been a better hero as a Hufflepuff? Or did he need Gryffindor to forge him in fire? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you want more Harry Potter what-ifs, make sure to subscribe and share this video with your fellow Potterheads. Thanks for watching.